All right, today we're taking a look at Wave 2 of the DC Retro Super Friends line of figures from McFarlane Toys. First up, we got Superman himself. We also got Barry Allen, the Flash, only coming with one accessory. We also got Captain Cold coming with his signature cold gun, looking pretty chilly. We also got Cheetah, which is nice to see a female character in this lineup. She's looking very good, very classic, but also just comes with one small accessory. And last but not least, we got the Toyman, one of my personal favorite characters from the Super Friends cartoon. Overall, a pretty nice spread, so let's take a look at them each. Alright, so first up we got Superman here. He's looking pretty good. Got a really nice cloth goods cape on the back with the big yellow S. I really like the colors here, the big chest emblem. The little kryptonite ball and chain is also pretty fun, and it is a metal chain on there as well. So that's kind of cool, and that's always a nice touch. Alright, here's a look at Superman. The sculpt is really nice on him. The colors really pop, as I said. It's got this nice kind of light fabric cloth goods cape. I like how, the Superman face, it looks like the cartoon where, if you remember, like his eyes, there was no like white to his eyes. It was like the eyes were just kind of drawn on over top of the same skin tone that the rest of his face was, and that's exactly what you have here. My phone camera might be a little grainy, but hopefully you can see those details up in there. But I like that. That's a nice touch. Also like the nice big chest emblem. It takes up a lot of space on his chest, but it looks nice. It just kind of pops on the shelf all that more. And it is much bigger than the emblem on his cape there too. Paint's really nice, colors pop, sculpt is nice, got that hair curl. This is a nice classic Super Friends Superman. Okay, as for articulation, Superman can kind of look up and down a little bit. He can kind of just do like the what's up, like the little chin lift. That's about it. Head 360, arms can go a little bit higher than a T-pose, and all the way around. He's got single jointed elbows that do pivot. If you can see, they do actually pivot a bit left to right on the joint as well, so that is kind of handy. He's got one open hand and one closed hand. You can go 360 at the waist. Ooh. It's a little bit tight. Legs go all the way up. They don't really go back though, because it's kind of limited by the cut of the butt there. And he's got single jointed knees, and the knees do pivot around kind of like that and like that. So that's kind of nice to see. No ankle articulation. But these guys, they're all fairly limited. He's also got the trading card, a nice sort of classic flying Superman pose with his hands stretched out. Even though we don't get any flying hands, and the figure itself can't fly, it's fine. I guess you get the image. And on the back, the same sort of style. Series 2, collect them all. We've got Superman, Flash, Captain Cold, Cheetah, and Toyman. And I really like how each character has different, kind of font and style for their name. That's kind of a nice touch. I would have actually maybe liked to seen that on the packaging instead of just the standard, like, Super Friends logo at the top. Would have been cool if they actually had these, like, graphics on the front cover of every packaging. But you also got this little walkie-talkie that does have a JLA letters painted on there too. So it's a very, very small little accessory, something that you're probably very easily going to lose, under the couch or between the floorboards or whatever. So put this, away in a container if you can. All right, next up is Toyman. This one I am really happy they did. This was one of my personal favorite characters out of Super Friends cartoon. I just really like the design for the character that's, I believe, originated with the Super Friends show. I could be wrong on that, but I think this kind of, you know, the pointy hat, pointy shoulder design was original to Super Friends. But yeah, with the yellow color scheme, the pants, everything is painted really well. He's got a really nice expression on his face. And I love that he comes with the little Superman toy accessory. That's a lot of fun. If I remember correctly in the show, I think he had some kind of voodoo doll type deal. Like if he had a toy of the characters, he could kind of like control those characters. I don't know. I might be misremembering, but I think that was what was going on. Here's a close-up of that Superman doll. Don't know how well camera's doing at picking that up, but there you can kind of see him there. It's painted really well. Looks like a little Superman, you know. All right, we'll take a look at Toyman's articulation, which is really going to be the same kind of articulation for everyone across the board. But, you know, yeah, head goes around. Head can actually look up a lot more than Superman could. These are a little pointy, so be careful when you're moving him around. The arms do go all the way up. They're not restricted at all by the big shoulder piece here. You know, and they are a little restricted in how, you know, they can't really go around 360. You can kind of pull them back there, but you kind of got to bring the arms out a little bit more to move it that way. Single jointed elbows as well that do pivot. Everything's not too stiff, but also not too loose either. So this one feels pretty good. The wrists also turn 360 degrees. He's got a waist cut that can turn 360 as well. Legs go straight forward out. They don't go to the sides at all. And the knees, single jointed bended knees, that do pivot as well. Toyman's also got this trading card, you know, and that's how I remember him being super lanky, kind of tall and weird. And then you got the same deal on the back as the other cards. And before I forget, he does come with this little detonator thingamajig. It's got a red button on it and a little antenna thing. So yeah, same standard fare as all the other figures. All right, and here we got the Flash. I believe this is Barry Allen. Overall, a nice, classic looking Flash that, although he isn't maybe fully accurate to Flash from the comics, he is accurate to how the Flash looked in the Super Friends show. Namely with this all yellow chest emblem. You know, I think in the cartoon they were trying to, you know, save money where they could and maybe limit the amount of different colors where they could. And so this was just one of those cost-saving measures and decisions, I'm sure, to make the whole logo emblem just a solid yellow instead of having the white circle background there. I don't know. It's a maybe not the best looking Flash, but it is a kind of nice classic Flash that is accurate to how he looked in the show. He's got these zigzaggy yellow belt patterns and on his wrist there too. Got the little wings on the boots and also the wings on the head. In terms of articulation, this guy is actually a bit more limited than the others. I believe it's because he's using an older body buck from that Batman 66 DC Retro line. Really just the arms, they have like a weird like spring kind of tendency where they don't, see if I push it back, it springs forward. They don't really want to stay up, and if I try to bring the arm up, it just springs back down too. And if I push it against that tension, it really feels like it's going to break. So I don't want to be too rough, but yeah, it's kind of same on both sides. They don't really want to go all the way around. He can do the T-pose though. I mean, heck, even more than T-pose. He can get his arms unnaturally up like that. And he's got the same single jointed elbows that pivot, as well as the same single jointed knees that pivot. And legs go out, and his legs can actually go a little bit further back because he doesn't have that deep butt cut like Superman has. So you could get him into more of like a running pose, you know, with the legs like that, if you can manage to balance him, because Yeah, there is no ankle joints there, so it can be a little tricky. Wrist turn all the way around as well, and like the others, you get one fisted hand and one open hand. Here's a look at the Flash's trading card. Got a nice look at him running here. Interestingly, though, the logo on the trading card, it does have the white background to his chest logo, which is really confusing because if you Google images of, you know, the Flash Super Friends, you will see him with the full yellow logo. So this must have been from a different version of the Super Friends cartoon, or something's going on there. It's just part of that weird lack of, you know, consistency across the images that McFarlane can unfortunately have at times. All right, and here we got Captain Cold, looking pretty chilly here. Overall, pretty nice looking figure, very classic look for Captain Cold. I like he's kind of got the texture on top of his boots and his gauntlets there, as well as kind of the frilly texture along the rim of his hood. As you can see too, he comes with the little red kind of cold gun or pistol, whatever you want to call it. He can hold it pretty well. There's not a lot of range of motion of how he can kind of point and shoot it, but you know, it's pretty good for like a straight on kind of pose. He's got a big holster on the side too. Unfortunately, that doesn't open. You can't put the gun in there. It's just kind of there. Would have been cool if you could, you know, put the gun in when he's not using it. It's also pretty noticeable that the holster is a much larger size than the gun itself, so that doesn't really match up, but whatever. It's fine. So taking a look at some of the articulation for Captain Cold here. Head can go all the way around, even though he's got the big hood. Can't really look up and down all that much. Can kind of nod his head a little bit. Just want to show that face sculpt a little bit more there too. I really like the kind of smug look, you know, that smirk that he did. That's straight out of the show. The goggles too look really good. I always kind of like the blue face Captain Cold, like, you know, he's like his skin's like permanently, you know, frostbite or something like that. And I always kind of like that look. All right, but back to the articulation. He's got, you know, T-pose. He's kind of got similar, actually, no, they're not springy like the Flash, but their arms are very stiff to go all the way around. The single jointed elbows as well. He does have a waist cut above that big yellow belt. He's got these like thicker, kind of stockier legs, which makes sense as he's got the big snow pants on, but you still get the single jointed pivot knee. I don't know, I find though, because his legs are a bit chunkier, it's a little hard to kind of get him to stand naturally. He stands very straight on. But I did forget to point out too, all the figures do have like the peg holes at the bottom of the feet too, so you could use McFarlane stands. Even though they don't come with these figures, you could use, you know, any spare stands you have laying around with these guys, which is, you know, kind of nice and might be needed just given some of the limited posability in their legs. Captain Cold, of course, also comes with a trading card and one of these little detonator accessories I've just put in there. Nice, you know, image of him kind of creeping up on you there. Looks very Scooby-Doo-esque. And he's got all the standard fare, you know, collect them all, as all the other cards on the back. All right, last but not least, we got Cheetah. And this is the first female figure in the DC Retro Super Friends line. And really good, solid character choice. I'm really happy we are getting some more female figures. I think this is even the first Cheetah we might have ever gone from McFarlane. And she looks really good. I really like, you know, it's a simple paint job, mostly yellow, with, of course, the cheetah spots, you know, in brown along her head, shoulders, and legs, and the end of her tail there. You know, it might have been nice if they painted the end nails there brown as well. Overall, she looks really good. Nice classic cheetah look. There's just a close-up look of the face sculpt there. Really nice how they painted the eyes and the eyebrows. You know, there's just something so funny about, she has such like a sour, stern look, but then she's wearing these like cute little cheetah ears, you know, like, I don't know, there's just something really kind of funny about the contrast there, you know. So getting into the articulation, Cheetah, she does actually a pretty good job of looking down at least, and then a little bit up, but it's more just straight on. Then the head can go all the way around. Arms go out into a T-pose. The arms are thinner, of course, than the other characters, as this is a, you know, female sculpt. So they are a little more fragile, but they do kind of go all the way around there. The elbows is where, yeah, it does feel a little more brittle, especially pivoting them. We'll see how the plastic holds up over time. Wrist full 362. You can get some, you know, decent poses of her with her claws out there coming to get you. You get this big waist cut right here at the abdomen. It turns around. I would have maybe liked if the tail was more articulated or posable. Like maybe if there was a hinge right at the top here where you could have the tail sticking out. But as it is, it only just kind of wraps around the back of her legs. And that is, you know, going to get in the way of maybe moving her legs backwards at least. They do come fully up, and a single joint knee there that again pivots. There are no pegs on the bottom of her feet like Captain Cold had, so and her ankles are a bit smaller than the other characters, so it can be a little tricky to pose her, but you know, you just kind of balance her and she'll stand on her own. And here is Cheetah's trading card slip. Nice image, classic image of the show there. And she also comes with one of these little detonator thingamajigs. Although because her hands, you know, are open and clawed, she can't really hold this all very well. So, I don't know. You can't really do much with it there. Would have been nice to have another kind of accessory. I don't know what you would have done exactly. Maybe like a bone necklace or something. I don't know if she ever wore that in the show. All right, so here is the full Super Friends Wave 2 figures. Overall, I think it's a very nice variety of character selection. I think again, as with Wave 1, all the head sculpts are really probably the standout part of these figures. You know, they're not the most articulated, but they all pop on the shelf, and you can all get them in, you know, a decent pose to kind of reflect, you know, their highlight character traits. Except for Flash, maybe you can't really get him running all that well. But I really like what we have here. I do think the accessories maybe could have been a little bit better. I mean, the standouts are really the little Superman that Toyman has, and then the big ball and chain of Superman. But it would have been nice if Cheetah and Flash could have gotten some accessories aside from just, you know, the little kind of gadget walkie-talkie things. Overall, though, I like what McFarlane is doing with the Super Friends line. I hope we get a couple more waves of these figures, you know? I'd love to see a Wonder Woman. I'd love to see, you know, the Wonder Twins, you know, both of them, maybe even with the little monkey. Speaking of monkeys, give us Gorilla Grodd. I'd love to see, you know, Black Manta and like build out the whole Legion of Doom there. But yeah, overall this is I like this wave. I like this line of figures, and I'm just gonna keep getting them. Let me know what you guys think. Are you gonna pick any of these up? Which ones? If you are thinking of picking them up, who do you hope to see in the lineup? Let me know in the comments below.